Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve podcast takes a close-up look at controversial subject matter and hot-button topics, adding humor, cynicism, and a dose of reality to the stuff we're not supposed to talk about anymore. Politics, religion, sex, gender identity, violence, corruption. Nothing is left unturned in this lighthearted approach to information dissemination. The world is experiencing a pandemic of cowardice. 80% of people do not believe the craziness they've been coerced to agree with. Grab a friend, grab a beverage, and dive in with us as we take on the narrative and blast social stigmas with truth. Here are your hosts, Patriots Ray Amanat and Steve Reed.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in podcast land, social media land. Happy New Year, America. Welcome to Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. I'm Ray Amanat, based out of sunny Port Richey, Florida. And of course, my co-host, Mr. Steve Reed, somewhere in an undisclosed area, still in northern Texas. Steve! Happy New Year.
Ray, it's something like this. Happy New Year.
We're ringing in the 2024, our first show for the year. Hopefully you guys are tuning in. Please like, comment, share. We're going to talk about, as I'm sure most radio, TV, and podcast pundits are, talking about New Year's resolutions. Of course, we have to put our disclaimer up there. Do you want to read it to everyone?
Not really. But
okay.
This is our program. We base everything on fact. And if you don't like our facts, then go find your own facts. But fact is fact. Okay? Fact is not opinion.
An opinion-based show also.
Well, well, and we will distinguish between fact and opinion, but this is a fact-based program that happens to have our opinion that's seeded throughout. So there. Done.
And just for our viewers, we started Taboo Talk a little over a year ago now, I think. 2 years. Oh my gosh, we got to come up with an actual anniversary date. Yay! It's been a ride. It's been a ride.
Yes, it has.
It's kind of cool. And we started this because both of us we were fed up with the news media, and we wanted to educate the public with our viewpoints on all taboo topics, such as abortion, First Amendment, Second Amendment rights, politics, just the corruption that's going in our country, on religion, homosexuality, just everything that people are afraid to talk about because they don't want to hurt someone's feelings.
Well, and Ray, the things that people just simply aren't talking about.
Right.
Like, a movie came out last year, Sound of Freedom. And that started a major conversation about trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, etc. But the news media is not talking about that because It makes the Democrats and liberals and the Marxists and the communists and the socialists, I'm sorry for being so redundant, but it makes them uncomfortable because it's a reflection on how crappy they are. So I'm sorry.
So it's nothing to be sorry about. The whole thing is it's our viewpoints, and we want the public. There's people out there that share the same viewpoints as you, but they don't have as many outlets to go to actually enjoy it. So we created Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve to give people an outlet so that if they're not happy with Fox News or any of the other news stations, come check us out. Now, granted, we're not an everyday thing. We're a once a week we put on a show. Um, if any cable company wants to pick us up and have us go every day, well, that's another story. Yes, we'd like to be paid for that.
Show me the money.
Yeah.
Ray, as we were wrapping up last year, actually in October, November, every year, I start looking at what was working in the previous year and what wasn't working, and then start really forecasting and start putting things together for the next year. And that's kind of the direction that I want to take us today. Just talking about the things that we really should be doing. And
Right.
the challenge comes in that there are so many misunderstandings about resolutions and goals and planning and so forth. Uh, I was joking with somebody last night. The busiest time of the year in a gym, any kind of a fitness center, is the first week of January. The slowest time in the year is the first week in February.
I figured it would be the second week of January.
Oh, no. There are people that are still, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Okay. Yes, I've done it 7 days in a row. I'm going to do this. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. I totally agree with you. So that's one of the things I want to talk about, and the differences between goals and resolutions. And Ray, I've got it. I know you and I had a conversation offline about this several weeks ago, but talking about the differences between goals and resolutions. I saw this on Facebook recently. I don't call them New Year's resolutions. I prefer the term casual promises to myself that I'm under no obligation to fulfill.
Well, we all know that there's a lot of us, and I'm guilty of it, that we make that New Year's resolution and then just pretty much with good intentions, but after a week, 2 weeks, 2 to 3 months or so, that all goes by the wayside, and you're right back to old habits.
Yeah. Well, Ray, for instance, I am resolved. I am going to lose weight this year. Dang, that chocolate cream pie sure looks good. Oh, this one piece of pie, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt me at all. I'm going to go to the gym every single day, and I'm going to work out for an hour every single day. Oh, shoot, I've got that appointment today. I can't make it today, but I'll do it tomorrow.
Right.
And so the word resolution, really the root of that word is resolve. And I would say that the vast majority of the people that make resolutions have zero resolve.
Right.
Or minimal resolve. So this isn't about weight loss. It's about changing habits. It's about becoming the person that you were really designed to be.
Right.
That's the problem. Most people they don't even know who they were designed to be.
So when I first got into martial arts, my ultimate goal was getting my black belt. I wanted my black belt.
Right.
But you had to have those short-term goals, which is why in martial arts they have different belt rank systems: a white belt, a yellow, an orange, a green, a blue, different levels of brown. Some have red belts, and then your ultimate black belt. So it's taking that concept, and you have your ultimate goal, but then set up short-term realistic goals that take you to that ultimate goal.
Yes. But if you don't have the intermediate goals, then the big goal is irrelevant. So, Ray, there's a concept that I started learning and really trying to follow decades ago. And the basic concept is reduce it to the ridiculous. So if your goal is your black belt, okay?
Right.
then you're going to reduce that to the ridiculous. What is the smallest thing you need to do on a daily basis in order to get to your black belt, or whatever the goal is? And what are the daily habits that you have to put in place in order to get to the goal? And that's what a lot of people don't recognize, that they have to have those daily habits. And they see that piece of chocolate cream pie, and that's more important to them.
Right.
And what are you doing there?
I have a harmonica.
Oh, I thought it was a Snickers bar.
I was going to play this for you.
Would you please? Yeah, go ahead.
And that just means we have to go to a commercial break.
You are so full of.
So instead of a gong, we're going to be doing for 2024 the harmonica.
Right.
Here, I can even play this without it touching my lips.
I'm impressed. I am so impressed. Well, Ray, all I can say to that is, how you doing?
That's what I want. Latch on as soon as you can, make it hard. If I stand on one leg, can you yank me off balance? Yeah. If I stand feet wide, can you pull me off balance? Come on, what's the matter with you? How you doing? What was the first thing she did? She walked away. She took her eyes off of me. She looked away. I take her purse. I run. She goes to security. She goes to law enforcement. They're going to say, well, what did he look like? And you're going to be like, it happened so fast. I didn't see him coming. You didn't see him coming because I made you feel uncomfortable. And you took your eyes off me and walked away. The whole point is, and this does not mean I want you to go and flirt and talk to the person, or I don't want you to go, I see you. I just want you to, that's a cool shirt. I'd like to get that because my kids are in soccer. I'm letting you know I'm aware of you. I'm letting you know I can describe you.
So, yeah. So, Ray,
Steve.
how long did it take you to get your black belt?
Well, I mean, of course, I went through injuries and things like that, but it was around close to 5 years, 4.5 to 5 years.
Okay, so it's not something you walked into the gym or into the training facility and said, all right, I want to be a black belt by tomorrow.
No. There are schools that are out there that you can pay them and they will give you a black belt within a year or less. And those are what we call paper dragons. They're not the real deal. Throughout my whole career, I've only probably promoted under 50 students, I'd have to look at it, to the rank of black, because if you got a black belt from me, you've earned it. I don't hand out belts. I don't hand out certificates of that, because it's my reputation also. Yeah. If you're a black belt under me and you are a bully, or you are you get in a situation and your training didn't pay off because you didn't practice enough or whatever, it's my reputation, because it's my name on that certificate and on that belt. It's also my reputation. All of my black belts, God help you if you ever come across them and decide to attack them or try to hurt them in any way. You're going to have a fight on your hands.
Yeah. So now I do have a black belt, and it's reversible. It's brown on the other side.
From
Uh,
Kmart. I understand. Well, Kmart's not
no,
around
no,
anymore.
it's from Walmart. We don't have a Kmart here anymore. So anyway, but right. The point to that is it's not something that you just walked into a studio one day and said, I'm going to become a black belt by whatever. You had to lay out a plan, or your instructor, your
Right.
trainer had to lay out a plan for you. Here's what you need to do on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, and a daily basis. So
Correct.
you had a system that was in place in order to achieve the kind of goals that you were looking for.
Not only that, but I had a mentor or a coach or
Understand?
a sensei or sabunim, if you want to
Right.
use the correct, or sifu, if you want to use, or guru, if you want to use that terminology.
Right.
But I had people that held me accountable to my training and held me
Okay.
accountable to the tasks that I
Yeah.
needed to accomplish to achieve those goals.
Yeah. Okay. So now you just said something there, terminology that I wasn't aware of. At least I may have misunderstood it. Were you talking about eating seafood? Is that what you were saying?
No. Each martial arts, based on their origin of, are they from China, Japan, Philippines, or whatever, they call their teachers by a different name. So
Okay.
Sifu is the Chinese, not seafood, but Shifu or Sifu
I got you.
is
Okay.
the
So,
Chinese name for
uh,
teacher.
so what do you call the trainer that's in the hood?
Let's
Because
not go there.
they've got their own style of training. Of course, most of that training comes from a 9 millimeter, but that's another story. Anyway, I digress. See, here's one of the things that you have to do, and I'm guessing based on your work and your background, you have to review on a regular basis.
Constantly, constantly,
You don't
constantly.
just go in, and I remember when I was in high school, I was working in a men's clothing store, and the guy that was managing the store, his name was Tommy. I'm just going to leave it at that. So, but Tommy was going through martial arts training himself. And I remember we would be in the store. If we didn't have any customers, he'd move some of the display racks out of the way, and he would be doing these exercises. He called them katas. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
And he would be doing all kinds of stuff. I said, dude, you keep doing that, you're going to hurt yourself. He became very good at it. Okay. Now, I don't know what level he was going for, but but every day he would go for the training. He would then have a view as a result of what he had been doing.
Right.
So, how critical is it to have the review?
It's very critical. I mean, my exams for my students, there's a lot of schools that you just have to test on the required material for that rank. For me, you have to review everything from day one as a white belt all the way up to the current rank that you're testing. So the
Gotcha.
exams were long. You know,
Okay.
a white to yellow belt was a 30, 45 minute exam. Orange belt, you're looking at an hour exam.
Well,
Green belt, you're looking at about an hour and a half exam. Blue belt, you're looking at about 2 hour exam. Because I'm looking at everything from when you first started up until the
right.
current material, not just the current material that you needed for that belt rank. So
And
you had to be in shape. A black belt exam is anywhere between a 4 hour, 6 hour, sometimes depending on how many people are testing together, it could be an 8 hour exam.
well, okay. With the current climate that we are in, with people being very confused about who they are and what they are, is there a pink belt?
I had a pink belt for students that pretty much If you showed up late to class, guess what? You're wearing a peep belt. If you did something
that was a
inappropriate
joke.
in class, guess what? Your punishment is you have to wear the peep belt.
That really was a joke, but I love it. I love it. So
Nobody wanted to wear that belt. Trust me, nobody wanted to wear that belt because it was that means you did something that you should not have done.
Okay, like going up to a pretty blonde and saying, "How you doing?" So okay, so all of this, and I'm gearing this around the things that you do as a professional in the world of martial arts,
Right.
martial arts self-defense, and so forth. It's not something that you just wake up one day and voila. And it's like
No.
I remember when I was in high school, junior high and high school. They call them middle schools now. It was junior high school. Anyway, but I remember I joined the band and I played the alto sax when I was in seventh grade. And it was something I had to do over and over and over and over and over again until I got to the point where I really knew everything. Not everything,
That
but
was
I
not an alto sax.
no, that was not even close. But the point is, it took rehearsal.
Right.
I remember my mom played the piano. She was the church pianist for several of the churches where my dad was the minister. And I remember that I didn't want to take piano lessons. I didn't want to. No, let me rephrase. I wanted to learn how to play the piano. The problem is, all my buddies are outside playing football or baseball or riding their bikes or whatever. And that became more important to me
Right.
than taking the piano lessons and doing the scales. Do, 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 do. Okay. So that wasn't my strength. So, how many times do you run into situations like that where somebody says, I just don't feel like practicing? Well, guess what? You ain't going to be a black belt. You're not going to be a yellow belt or a
But
pink belt.
that's gonna come right back to me being the coach or me being the chamber. What are your priorities? There are so many students that I had to sit down and have a heart-to-heart talk with. Is this important to you? If it's important to you, then this is what you got to do, and you're not doing it. I had students that, especially with the younger kids in class, if they didn't have a GPA of 3 point whatever or better, I forget what at least 3.4, 3.5 or better, I would not test them. Or I would, if there was a tournament coming up, or if we had a karate demonstration and they were on the demo team, if they failed in an area, then I had an agreement with the parents. You cannot perform. You cannot go to the tournament. You cannot be on the demo team for this next show that we've got coming up. You could show up to the practices, but you will not be performing. And it's they either wanted it or they didn't. And if they wanted it, then they would get their grades up. If they wanted it, then they would listen to their parents and clean their rooms at home. And they used me as a way to help kids learn how to set goals and be better people in general.
Okay, so Ray, we have it on the screen right now for our listening audience. We have a QR code for Heroes in Action. That's your organization. Why don't you give our listening audience the website and your email address as well?
Sure, the QR code, as well as going to heroesinaction.us. The QR code takes you to our donation page, where we are a nonprofit organization, and you can make a one-time or recurring donation that is tax deductible. We've got a new year. Everything is done through PayPal through the website, so you should be getting a letter for your taxes that show that how much money you spent throughout the year. Or if you're not, then I will be mailing you or emailing you all the information that you need for your taxes. You can email me for more information if you have questions at ray@heroesinactionnow.org. And heroes is spelled HEROES in action.org. Inactionnow.org. But we are, our job is to save people's lives, but we save people's lives through teaching them how to set goals for themselves to be able to achieve the ability to know what to say, know what to do to get out of bad situations.
Yeah. So, but it's again, somebody doesn't come into your studio or your training facility and the next day they know everything. It's called repetition,
Right.
repetition, just over and over and over again. So it becomes instinctive to you.
Second nature. Yeah. We want it to be second nature.
There's one of the things that I teach when I'm working with different clients. There are 4 different levels of competence. And I would say that this is in some ways the same types of things that you do as well. The first level of competence is unconscious incompetence. You're stupid and you don't realize that you're stupid. Okay?
Right.
It's all right. That's where most people are when they get started on whatever the new task or project is. The next level is you are consciously incompetent, which means you're stupid, but you know that you're stupid. Okay.
Right.
You've seen different things. Yeah. Yes. Okay. The next level is conscious competence. You're getting to be pretty good, but you have to think through the process all the time, over and over. You're not just walking into an arena or a ring or whatever, and you're going to start performing. You have to think about every single thing that you're doing. Where does my right hand go? Where does my left hand go? Up my left leg? Am I doing this? How do I block? You're thinking about all those things. The last level is unconscious competence, where it just happens automatically.
Right.
Somebody throws a punch at you, you know instinctively what you need to do.
Right.
How do you block? How do you kick? How do you, etc.? What are those things that you have to do? And you're not thinking about any of those things. Now, what do you think of those 4 levels of excellence or competence? What do you think is the best place to be? All 4 of those.
Of course, the unconscious one, where you've done something so many times that it is second nature to you. There is no hesitation. There is no thinking. It just happens.
Okay? I'm going to challenge you on that.
Well, we're going to have to challenge me after the break.
That means I have to change screens so we can go to the break. So, Ray, you're pretty messed up. Pay close attention to this.
Life isn't always sunshine and roses. Sometimes it's full of roadblocks. The kind that aren't as easy to fix as filling a hole or repairing a car. Personal roadblocks are another thing altogether. Why do I feel stuck? The same things anger me every time. Why am I doing this anyway? Fixing it yourself can be frustrating and confusing. And if more than one person is involved, DIY might mean destroy it yourself. Maybe it's time for another solution. Steve Reed shines a light on your roadblocks and helps you find the best way forward for you. Stephen Reed Ministries, bringing light and hope for a victorious life. To overcome your roadblocks, schedule an appointment with Steve Reed today.
Yay!
Yeah. So, Ray, here's my challenge to you. I don't totally disagree with you that unconscious competence is a great place to be. You should aspire to be there. However, when you get to the point where you are unconscious competent, you stop thinking. And when you stop thinking and you stop reviewing and you stop evaluating where you are and you stop reviewing.
Okay. I'm going to challenge you on this.
You can be wrong. That's okay.
Okay, yeah. I'm not going to be wrong. So yes, but it's the journey. It's the kind, once you get a black belt, that's not when your training stops. That's when your training begins. So you're constantly being challenged and you're constantly being trained to think outside the box.
Okay. I understand. Now,
so I have my base foundation and reflexes and reactions, but there's always new, different levels of threats or different levels of challenges that I have to be a problem solver and a thinker to be able to get myself out of that situation.
You just answered what I was saying. Because you are, if you get to this level, scale of 1 to 10, I am now a 10, okay? There's an 11 also, and a 12, and a 13, and a 15, and 27, and so forth. The challenge comes in. Those people, they get to that unconscious competent level, they stop growing. They stop evaluating. They stop thinking.
Well, the students that I have, that they get their black belts and they say, okay, I've achieved the goal I set out to achieve. And they stop training. When they stop training, in my opinion, because they are not keeping their reflexes up to date or whatever else, they're no longer the quality black belt that they were when they achieved it. So they decline. Right. That's why military, law enforcement, you have to re-qualify to keep your training standards up to date. Any doctor has to go back to take a seminar to show that he's up to date on the modern technologies and modern medicines that are out there. Right. If you're not constantly thinking outside the box and challenging yourself, you have your base foundation, but there's always more to. I'm still learning, and I've been doing this for over 43 years now.
Okay. So here's my point to that. And you just corroborated what I was saying.
So I'm right.
No, you corroborated what I was saying. You said unconscious competence is the best place. Okay, now, but you said unconscious competence is the best place to be. But when you get to that level, you stop learning. You stop trying. You stop trying to improve. You become static. You become,
complacent.
Complacent. Good word. Okay. Now, here's the other side of it. Okay. I'm going to give a baseball analogy. My buddy Brian Flanagan taught me this one several years back. You've got two superstar baseball players from back in the 60s. You had Mickey Mantle and Ted Williams. Both of them were 300-plus hitters. Okay. Both of them were home run kings and so forth and so on. If you went to Mickey Mantle and said, I'm in a slump, how do I get out of the slump? His response would be, keep swinging. Ted Williams would say, step out of the box, evaluate everything that you are doing. In other words, review on a consistent basis so that you know exactly where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are. Am I holding the bat right? Is my left foot exactly where it needs to be? Is my right shoulder up the way it needs? All of those things. That's a level of conscious competence, whereas Mickey Mantle was unconscious competence. He didn't know what he was doing. He just went out there and started swinging. He was not a good teacher. Ted Williams was a good teacher. You, on the other hand, would be in that conscious competence because you know how to teach the things because you know the thought process that's going on to it. That person that is unconscious competent, they don't think about it at all.
Right.
Thus, they're not improving, they're not growing.
Right.
Okay? So you were almost right, but I was more right than you. But see, here's the point with all of this stuff that we're talking about. We've got to make sure that we are spending our time and our energy in the right places in order to achieve the dreams and the goals that we want. And here's one of the things that I teach my clients. You've got to have vision, mission, and purpose. And when I'm working with a client, I always start at the bottom. You have to have a purpose statement. You got to know what you are doing and why you're doing it. The purpose is a direct relationship to what your why is. Why does somebody want to get that black belt? And then so the why is incorporated into your purpose, and that purpose goes into your mission. What are your daily? And then the final one is the vision. That's your long term. That's your 90-day to 6 months to a year, sometimes 5-year type of dreams and goals that you have out there.
Right.
But if somebody just walks in and they say, I'm going to become a black belt, but they don't have the purpose in mind, they don't know the mission, and they don't have that long-term vision, they will fail. They are destined to fail every single time.
And my job as an educator, as well as a businessman, was to, every business you have a revolving door, customers in, customers out. Yeah. And my job was to keep my customers. I had to close the revolving door, close the back door.
Sure.
I get students, new students come in, and my current students don't leave. I had to keep them. So I had to look at the different ways as a coach because there was times that I was just too aggressive and I had a revolving door. People couldn't handle it and people didn't stick around past the rank of green because I was too intense with my training.
So you had to evaluate.
I had to evaluate. I had to water things down and change my curriculum around so that I wouldn't lose students at green. I'd lose students at brown, so they stayed longer. But they were too scared to test for their black belts. And I'm like,
okay,
hey.
So, Ray, I was talking to a guy several years ago. I think I remember who it was that told me this, but we were talking about teenage boys becoming Eagle Scouts.
Right.
And in the conversation, I said, do you know why it is that some kids become Eagle Scouts and why some kids don't become Eagle Scouts? He says, yes, there are 2 reasons why they do not become Eagle Scouts. I said, okay, you know this for a fact. He says, absolutely, it is corroborated, it is validated. We know exactly what the 2 issues are. I said, okay, I'm ready. He says, issue number 1 is 4 wheels. They get their driver's license, they get a car, and they got to drive the car. Okay, that's number 1.
Issue number 2, girls.
2 legs, female legs. So I would imagine a lot of that plays out with the things that you do as well.
It is. Once my teenage students get their driver's license and get into the party, then I lose them.
See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
So
and that's unfortunate.
That goes back to how important is it? Was this child in the martial arts because they wanted it or because their parents wanted it?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to give you just a little side note here, and I'm not going to give any specifics, any detail, but probably one of my biggest heroes today is not a political figure. In fact, he is probably about 1/3 my age.
Oh, you didn't have to mention me. I appreciate that.
You're not 1/3 my age. Here's the thing. My stepson is in Army basic training right now.
Right.
And he made the decision about a year ago that he wanted to join the Army. He's almost in his mid-20s. This year he'll be 25. And he made the decision that he was going to do it. So he went through all of the steps to figure out what he needed to do to join the Army. And yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly. And he went to the different recruiting offices and got all of the specifics. They told him what his weight things were and his height and muscles and everything he needed to do. And he made decisions. He made hard choices. And he put a few pounds on. Mm-hmm. And he made the decision what he was going to do in order to get the pounds off. And he became so disciplined in the things, his day-to-day activities, his life, all of his habits, etc. And he made the decision because that goal, that dream was out there, and there was nothing that was going to deter him from getting to that dream and that goal. So that's one of the things that we're talking about, the resilience and stick-to-itiveness. So hang on as we visit with Miss Susan.
Entertainment expands your horizons, takes you on fantastic adventures, challenges your skills. Independent media never looked so good. Welcome to a new sphere of influence. Our words mean business. Traditional families are honored, and the American flag still flies.
So this is Susan Hamilton, Offbeat Business Network or Offbeat Business Media. They've been around, 7-8 years, something like that, and they are making an impact in the community. They are family-oriented, they are conservative, they are free speech. We are honored to be on the OBBM network, and they have put us up on Spotify and Apple iTunes and iHeart and Rumble and Traverse TV in Central Florida. And we are honored to be part of their network. So if you want to become an advertiser or an affiliate with us or with them, reach out to us, reach out to Susan, and let's make this happen. Let's get this audience bigger, better, more people.
Just email Susan at offbeatbusiness.com.
Yes, exactly. So the point to all of this stuff is, Ray, if you don't have purpose, mission, and vision, you're not going to get the things that you want to get. So here's the question for you. What's stopping you? So in the end, for our listening audience, we've got a set of basically dominoes, as little wood blocks that are stacked up in a line in a row, and they started falling over, but somebody put their hand in between two of them to stop the next one from falling over. So the question is, what are the obstacles that are confronting you? What are the things
those obstacles could, those of you that are listening or watching, you can post those obstacles on our Facebook page in the comments area. But obstacles could be financial. Obstacles could be family-based, where you're not getting the support that you need. Yes. Obstacles could be your health issues.
Absolutely.
I can't get healthy enough to be able to accomplish those goals. So that's the first thing you have to address. Right. If it's a family issue, you're not getting the support. How do you go about convincing them to support you that this is the right path for you?
Here's the key, though. If the dream and the goal is big enough, what you have to do is work around those obstacles. Because you may have somebody that's toxic in your life that doesn't want you to accomplish certain dreams and goals because it directly impacts them. Correct. And what's going on in their life, okay? So, I'll give you a case in point. You may be in a family and you're the youngest of the siblings. And you, Ray, decide you're going to go out and get your black belt, okay? Well, you're going to have these older siblings that are going to try and beat you up all the time. They're not disciplined enough to do the work necessary to get the different belts. But because you're continuing to improve, they're trying different things to deter you because it starts to make them look bad.
Right.
Because you're more better than they are. Okay. And the same thing is true in other walks of life, other areas. You may have one family member that they don't like the fact that you are getting better, because when you're getting better, you're leaving them behind, and they're not, in some ways, it makes them look foolish.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a situation I'm dealing with my mother. She lives by herself in San Diego, California. And she's wanting any of us to uproot ourselves and move. So each of my brothers has anywhere between 2 to 4 kids, and move to live by her so that they can also take care of her. For me, and this is one of the things I say, I said, Mom, it's easier for you to sell and move closer to one of us, because these are kids that they have their friends, they have their school that they like, they have everything. And you're my brothers all have their careers, they're established there. I'm established here in Florida. She's retired. My mom's retired, but her expectations are everyone gets up, moves to San Diego just to take care of her, because she doesn't want to sell her house or,
right.
I'm like, yeah.
I've got a friend of mine here in North Texas. Several years ago, she moved from where we are to Massachusetts. And I'm thinking to myself, why would anybody leave Texas to move to Massachusetts? And so she and I were talking one day, and I'm just going to call her Jill. And I said, Jill, how old are your grandkids? And she's like, what? I said, how old are your grandkids? She says, well, they're 2 and 5. I said, okay. And I assume they live in Massachusetts. She says, yeah, they do. I said, why else would anybody move from Texas to want to go to Massachusetts? And she just started laughing. That's why a lot of people move, because they want to be close to the grandkids.
Right.
So that's where your mom is. She should be willing to move. Now, I understand she's got roots and she's got her life there and so forth and so on. But move back to St. Louis.
But she doesn't. All my brothers live in different parts of the country. There's nobody back in St. Louis for her. So it's either Florida, she can come out here, stay with me, or Connecticut, Arizona, or she lives in San Diego, and I have a brother that lives in San Francisco. She could move closer to him.
Yeah.
Hello.
Ray, I want to show you one last slide, and this is I think probably one of the best ones. It's talking about the resilience that we need. We have to be adaptable, we have to be flexible, and we have to constantly be learning and improving in the things that we are doing, which when you do those things, you become more resilient in everything that is going on in your life. And all of that revolves around your determination and your resolve. Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm going to wrap it up with this one real quick story. There's a book that came out several years ago. I forget what the author's name is. Angela's her first name. Anyway, the title of the book is Grit. And she's a psychologist. She teamed up with another psychologist. They went to the military academy, West Point. And they tried to determine why it is people were not making it through and graduating from West Point. And the reason why the people that were dropping out, why they dropped out, was because of the word grit. And that's what people are missing today. If it gets too difficult, they don't have the grit, they don't stick with it. They don't have the resolve. Okay?
Right.
So remember, as we're wrapping up, remember that a resolution, the root word is resolve. And if you're going to make a decision, you're going to do something, resolve, determine, have the grit that's necessary in order to get to the dreams and goals that you want.
So how can people get a hold of you if they want more information on your coaching and your programs?
That means I got to go back to my screen here where I am. Where am I?
You're in northern Texas.
info@StephenReedMinistries.com is by far the easiest way to get a hold of me. I actually take people through a course that is based on my Strategies for Success workbook. And it's a multi-week program, but it helps you develop your dream, your vision, your purpose. What is your why? What are your strengths? And what are the things that you really need to focus on? And what are the things that you need to jettison? What do you need to get rid of? And that is a critical component in the things that we are doing. If you don't get rid of those things, then I'm telling you, you're not going to achieve your dreams and your goals. So you got to get rid of the junk, and you have to resolve to stay focused on the things that are truly important in your life. And you can reach out to us at Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve at gmail.com and become an advertiser, become an affiliate with us. We'd love to have you. Like, share, etc. All those things. You know what to do.
Yeah. Go to YouTube, go to Facebook, go to iHeartRadio, look up the LBBM network, and you'll be able to find us on all of those stations.
Go to Rumble and type in Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve, and you can watch previous episodes on Rumble, uncensored Rumble, as opposed to some of the places where we play today. So anyway, Ray, our time is up.
Once again, everybody, wishing you a Happy New Year for 2024, and don't forget, we've got Clucky the Chicken, Wake the Cluck Up America. We'll be talking a little bit more about this election season that's going to be coming up and all the drama that's going along with it.
Cannot wait. It's going to be a fun year.
Enjoy yourselves, guys.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. If you have suggestions for topics you would like us to discuss, or you would like to become a sponsor, reach out to us today at Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve at gmail.com. In the meantime, check out the other amazing programs on OBBM Network on all your favorite podcast platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Join us again for another fun and informative opinion-based episode. This is Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve.